So how exactly will tonight's presentation work? This Facebook Live event will provide you with information regarding financial aid, scholarships, the Alaska Performance Scholarship, applying for the FAFSA, information on trade unions, on military opportunities, and some workforce readiness tips, the AKCIS online program, and basically anything to get you thinking about your post-secondary plans. This presentation is proudly brought to you by your high school counseling technicians from Eielson, Lathrop, North Pole, Hutchison, and West Valley. Now, not all of the content to the left of the screen will be presented in this Facebook Live video. We have created a slideshow presentation that can be found in the description of this Facebook Live event or on your school's website. Here's a short preview of how that will work. Once you open the presentation, you'll review the navigation tips. And then, when you click to the next page, you'll be instructed to click a door. If this format feels overwhelming to you, just click Next, and you'll find a table of contents with hyperlinks to specific pages of information. We strongly encourage you to review all of your post-secondary options. If you don't get a chance to review all of the content tonight, that's okay. This presentation will be available for the whole school year. Whenever you'd like to get back to the table of contents, simply click the Home button on the top right-hand corner of the presentation. A special thanks goes out to our military recruiters, university presenters, trade union coordinators, and especially our counseling technicians for coming together and gathering this content for all of the FNSBSD students and their families. Without further ado, I welcome Ms. Anna Kate Williams from the University of Alaska Fairbanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna Kate. I work at the UAF Financial Aid Office, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about financial aid. So first off, what is it? There are several different types of financial aid. This includes scholarships, grants, loans, and federal work study. Scholarships is free money you don't have to pay back, and grants is also free money. Loans is money you will pay back, and federal work study is basically working a student job and you're getting paid by the government. I'll go over each one of these. Some of the financial aid is based off of need, and some is non-need based. Financial need is determined using information that you input on your FAFSA as well as attendance, and I'll go over what this all means. Need-based financial aid includes grants, subsidized loans, and federal work study. Non-need-based is scholarships, although some scholarships are need-based, unsubsidized loans, and Parent Plus loans. And I'll go over what each one of these mean. First, let's talk about the FAFSA briefly, and then we'll go into it a little bit more in depth later. FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and you're applying to the Department of Education, which is the biggest supplier of financial aid across the country. And it opens October 1st, so it's already open, so you can fill it out for your upcoming school year starting in 2021, fall 2021. You'll fill that out with your tax information from 2019. What does it do? It calculates your ability to help pay for school, assesses your financial need, and based off of that financial need determines if you're eligible for grants and how much in loans you're eligible for. Pro tip, signing up or filling out the FAFSA earlier gives you a better chance to get some of the aid that is first come, first serve. So what does it pay for? You might not be surprised to find out it pays for tuition and fees and books and supplies, room and meal plans, but it also covers transportation costs as well as other miscellaneous expenses that is necessary. For instance, toothpaste is a necessity for your student, as well as winter boots if they're studying in Fairbanks. All of this goes into determining the cost of attendance. So we call that a COA. And your COA is going to be used with this other number called the EFC, which stands for Estimated Family Contribution, to determine your financial need. The EFC is a formula that uses, among other things, your income, assets, family size, and how many people in your family are going to college in order to determine what your EFC is. A lot of people think that when they see their EFC number, they think that that's how much they have to pay for school. That's not the case. It's simply a number that we use in determining financial need. This number can include what the student can contribute as well as what the parents can contribute. This is that financial need calculation I talked about. So it is the COA, cost of attendance. And remember that cost of attendance is the really big picture. That's including the tuition and fees, room and board, and all the way down to toothpaste and winter boots. So it's a really big number. And oftentimes people see that and they think they have to pay all of that out of pocket. But it's more a number that they're going to be paying over the course of the school year. So it's the COA minus the EFC equals their financial need. And that's how we determined the need-based financial aid. So first, let's talk about scholarships, everybody's favorite. The first scholarship I'm going to talk about is a UAF-specific scholarship called the Nanick Pledge. It's a 4-year merit-based scholarship for freshmen and transfer students. Merit-based means that it's based off of their GPA and test scores. Although for this year, for the upcoming school year, 2021-2022, the test scores are actually waived due to COVID. So it's just based off of the GPA. And there's 2 different tiers. So you can earn up to $5,000 per year or $3,000 for a total of $20,000 or $12,000 over the course of all 4 years. So it's a really good scholarship for your student or for you if you're the student. There are some eligibility requirements that you need to be in a 4-year degree, be a full-time student. Full-time means taking 12 credits, at least 12 credits, in at least one in-person class, and keep your college GPA up to 2.5 or above. There's no special application. All you have to do is apply to UAF by June 15th for the fall semester or November 1st for the spring semester. We have UA Foundation scholarships, which there's over 400 scholarships, and you can apply with just one application. These scholarships are merit-based or need-based, or maybe a combination of both. The scholarships, what will happen is you'll fill out your application, and then that application will get filtered and sent to all of the scholarships within that we offer that you qualify for. So the eligibility may vary based off of what type of student you are, what level you are, if you're a freshman or a junior, or various things. Also, it might be what you're studying, maybe the music department or the English department, or there's a lot of scholarships in engineering. So very different things. And what happens is you don't have to find all those scholarships. It'll automatically apply you to those ones. The deadline is February 15th, so you want to mark your calendars for that. The Alaska Performance Scholarship is open to all Alaska students, and you can use it for going to school at UAF or going to school out of state. It's merit-based, so it's determined on your GPA, your test scores, and you have to take some required high school classes. If you're not sure if you're eligible, you can check with your high school counselor and they'll let you know. At this point in time in October, the test scores are not waived. They're still required. So that's a SAT or an ACT needs to be taken. And then it is a 4-year scholarship, and based off of your grades and your test scores is what level you'll get. And then to remain eligible, it's pretty similar to the Nanick Pledge, except for that you can go full-time, so 12 credits, or part-time. Your GPA needs to be above a 2.0 for the first year and above a 2.5 for every year after. And then you'll need to earn the required number of credits for each year of study. So your first year, you'll need to earn at least 24 credits. So that means 12 credits for fall, 12 credits for spring. Every year after, you need to earn at least 30 credits. So if you'd like to, you can do 15 credits per semester. That's a pretty full load. So if you want to, you can do 12 in fall, 12 in spring. And then if you'd like to sprinkle in some summer classes or take a class, we have shorter semester classes where you can knock 3 credits out in 2 weeks. So that's a really great way to do that. And then the deadline for that is filling out your FAFSA by June 30th. And that's for every year. Sometimes students get tripped up and they think they only need to fill it out once, but it's every single year you plan to attend. And you can get your APS for up to 6 years after you graduate high school. So that means you can also take off a couple of semesters if you need to. UA Scholars, you might also be familiar with this. It's awarded to the top 10% of your graduating high school class. You can again check with your high school to see if you're eligible. Again, it's a 4 years of aid, and it is $3,000 per year for $12,000 total. The eligibility is the same as, or very similar to APS, with a 2.5 GPA full-time, as well as earning those required credits each year, which is again 24 first year and 30 credits every year afterwards. The deadline for that is applying to UAF or any other UA school by May 1st. And you can earn you can take 2 semesters off with that. Grants are also a really great way to get financial aid, because it's free money, you don't have to pay back, and it's awarded based off of financial need. There are 3 most common types of federal grants. The first one is the federal Pell Grant. That's the most common. It's based off of your EFC. So if you have an EFC of 0, you can get the full amount, which is $6,345. And then it's on a sliding scale. So all the way up to about 5,500 is the EFC cutoff. So it would be $895. And you can actually look up, there's a Pell chart online if you'd like to, or you can wait for your financial aid and we'll let you know how much your grant is. That's for the full academic year. So all scholarships, grants, and loans get split in half. So for the first semester, you'll get half of the $6,345 if that's what you qualify for. And the second semester, you'll get half as well. The unique thing about the federal Pell Grant is it's based off of how many credits you're enrolled in. So if you're enrolled in 12 credits, then you're going to get all the way up to half of that, of what you're eligible for the full academic year. And then it also goes on down for if you're taking 3/4 of the time, half time, or 1/4 of the time. Equals, if you're taking half the classes, then you'll get half that grant, which is really great if you end up not going full time. The next grant is the FSEOG, stands for Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. That's awarded to students with a high need, meaning that they have an EFC of 0 and they also have extenuating circumstances that they have a high financial need. That is $500 for the full academic year. And then the third one is the Alaska Educational Grant. This is awarded to students who have 0 EFC as well as according to state selection. So every year the state decides on different criteria that they're going to award the grant for. And this is the first come, first served. So if you think that you might be eligible, you want to fill out your FAFSA sooner rather than later. And it ranges from $4,000 to $500 depending on your financial need. A couple of other specialized grants that are offered by the federal government is the Iraq-Afghanistan Service Grant. So that is for if your parent or guardian served in Iraq or Afghanistan after 9/11 and unfortunately passed away, you're eligible for that. The one caveat is if you're receiving the Pell Grant, if you're eligible for the Pell, then you won't be eligible for this grant, and vice versa. So if you're not eligible for the Pell, then you will be eligible for this grant. So you get one or the other. The other specialized grant is called the Teach Grant, and that is, as it says, for teachers, for people who are getting a 4-year degree in teaching. It is UA's policy, so that's UAF, UAA, and UAS, for students to either have junior, senior, or graduate standing before they're eligible for that grant. And that's just because oftentimes when you're a freshman or a sophomore, you're more likely to change to a different degree. And so if you, at any point in time after you receive that grant, say you're a junior or a senior and you receive the grant, and then you decide to change your major, that grant turns into a loan. So we don't want our freshmen and sophomores ending up with loans if they change their mind. Speaking of student loans, let's go into them. There are different types of loans. The blue ones on the screen are federal loans, and there's also alternative loans. Let's go over what a subsidized loan is. This is available to students with a certain financial need, and what's great about the subsidized loan is the Department of Education actually pays your interest while you're in school. And then after you're in school, your interest will start accruing for yourself. The unsubsidized loans is available to all students, so it's not financially need-based, and your interest starts accruing once your loan starts paying out. But the great thing about federal loans is the interest rates are very, very low, especially for this year and most likely next year as well. The interest rates haven't been set yet. They'll be set at the beginning of 2021. And speaking of amounts, the amounts that you're eligible are determined based off of your financial need. And oftentimes people get the subsidized and the unsubsidized loans mixed up. So a way to remember it is a subsidized loan is what you like because somebody else is paying your interest, and you like sub sandwiches. So subsidized loan, sub sandwich, sandwiches are yummy. So subsidized loans are yummy. Another loan that your parent can take out is called the Federal Parent Plus loan. So the parents can borrow up to the cost of attendance. So remember that's that big number that includes all of the things that you'll need to pay for throughout the school year. So they can borrow up to that big number to help pay for school. But that loan is your parents' loan. It's not in the student's name. So it's up to them if they want to take that out. It's a separate application from the FAFSA. That application is found on the same website that the FAFSA is. It's studentaid.gov, and it's based off of their credit history. So if they apply and they get deferred, then you'll actually be eligible for more unsubsidized loans to help offset that cost. There's also alternative loans. Those are given by other banks, or they might be given by different institutions that are set up specifically to give financial aid. And one that you really should consider is the Alaska Commission on Post-Secondary Education. They're the ones who give the APS and the Alaska Advantage grant. So they've got some good loans there you should check out. They also are going to have some different repayment options from the federal loans. So speaking of when you repayment, let's talk about when you start repayment. Federal student loans, again, like I said, they have low interest rates and they have lots of different repayment options. So you can cater it based off of your need when you're based off of your income or how fast or how slowly you want to pay that loan off. The students will enter a grace period of 6 months after either they graduate, or if they leave school for more than 6 months, or if they take less than 6 credits. So repayment will start 6 months after the last day of class. So if they graduated at the last day of class, if they, if you took classes in the spring, and then from the last day of the spring class, so let's say it's May 30th, and then 6 months after May 30th, if you haven't enrolled in the fall or a different semester, 6 months after that, you'll have to start paying back your loans. Or if you start taking less than 6 credits, so less than half time. So say you stopped taking classes May 30th and you enrolled for the fall, but you only enrolled for 6 credits or less than 6 credits, then you'll have to start repaying 6 months from May 30th. Let's briefly go over federal work study. As I mentioned, it's paid by the government, it is need-based, and you'll earn a stipend. So you have a set amount of money based off of your need that you can earn up to. And so as you work throughout the semester, you'll earn up to that amount. And we have jobs here at the university that are federal work study, as well as some organizations in the community have jobs, federal work study jobs. All right, let's get to filling out that FAFSA. Where to fill it out? There's 3 different ways. The best ways that we recommend are either online or on the mobile app. The online is fast, easy, and it also gives hints as you're filling it out so you can find the information you need and input the correct information. The mobile app is called My Student Aid, and the online is at studentaid.gov. Mobile app is My Student Aid. Until December, the mobile app will redirect you to the website, but it's pretty much the same experience, so you'll be fine. If you don't have access to a computer or a smartphone, you can also do a paper application. We can print it out for you, or you can come in, we have a computer, and you can use our computer kiosk to fill out the FAFSA as well. Steps to fill it out. First, you'll want to gather your information. It makes it filling it out so much faster. On the next slide, I'll have what information you'll need to gather. Second, you'll need to sign in and create a save key. So I will go over how you're going to sign in and how you're going to set that up and what a save key is. But essentially, the save key allows either the student or the parent to start the FAFSA, especially if the student and the parent aren't in the same room or aren't filling it out at the same time. Third step, you'll fill out the sections. Some of the sections include demographics, school selection, and your financial information. And 4, this is the most important step. You need to make sure you've signed and you've submitted it and you've confirmed that you've submitted it. Oftentimes, students will think that they've submitted their FAFSA and think they're good to go, and then it's the first day of classes and they're saying, "Where's my financial aid?" Well, you didn't actually submit it. So you want to make sure that you submit and confirm it. You'll get a confirmation email. So here's the information you'll need. You'll want to know your Social Security number, have your federal tax information, and also have records of untaxed income. So this could include VA benefits or child support. And then you'll also want to know how much money you currently have, as well as investments other than the home which you live. And if it's applicable, you'll want to get your alien registration number. I mentioned signing in. The way that you're going to sign in to the website is you'll create a FAFSA ID. It's recommended that you create it 3 days before you fill out the FAFSA, because what happens is you're going to create your FAFSA ID with your Social Security number, and it takes 3 days to get it authenticated. If you forget and you go to fill out the FAFSA and you haven't made one yet, no sweat, you can still fill out your FAFSA. It's just preferable that you do it 3 days because there's a couple of good things that you can do with that if it's already authenticated. You'll get an email once it's been authenticated, and then you can go online and fill it out. Both the student and the parent need their own ID. You'll also need to protect that ID and write it down someplace safe, because you'll need to remember that ID every year when you fill out your FAFSA. You'll also end up using that the FSA ID when you go back later to repay your loans. As I said, it's confirmed with your Social Security number, and then you can use it each year. I mentioned creating a save key. It's really great for when you go to start filling out your FAFSA and say you don't have the information or you run out of time or something comes up. You can, if you create a save key, then that allows you to log back in and get back into that same application, and you can save your progress that way. The other thing I mentioned is, say you're the student and you're starting it and your parent isn't there, you can start it and you can share that save key with your parent, and the parent can go into that same application with the save key and fill out their information as well, or vice versa. The different sections of the FAFSA are as follows. First is the student demographics, so that's your basic information, name, contact, gender, etc. School selection will include your high school, and then you'll list colleges that you're interested in attending, and we'll cover those a little bit later. It'll also determine your dependency status. We'll cover what that means next. And then your parent demographics, if applicable. If you're an independent student, you won't have to fill in your parent information. And then the last one is that financial information. I mentioned before that it always uses the tax years 2 years prior to the start of the academic year. So for the 2021-2022, you'll be using your 2019 taxes. Really great tool is called the IRS data retrieval tool. So you can do that, and I'll have a little more information about that, or you can input your tax information manually. When you go to list the colleges on your FAFSA, you can list up to 10 schools you're interested in. Each of those schools will be sent your FAFSA information 3 to 5 days after you fill it out. They'll make you offers, and those offers might be different depending on the school, because remember, your financial need is calculated using your cost of attendance. So each school has a different cost of attendance, which means your financial need will be different, which means your financial aid offers might be different from school to school. I mentioned dependent and independent student. A dependent student's parents' information will be used to calculate the need, regardless if the parent intends to help to pay for school. You are considered a dependent student until you either turn 24, get married, become active military, or have dependents of your own. There are a couple of other really specific things that would make you an independent student. There's too many to list here, but those are the most common. Remember, you're still a dependent student, even if you're living separately from your parents. And because you're a dependent, your loan eligibility limits are lower. If you're an independent student, you only will have your information. Your FAFSA, if you're filling it out online or on the mobile app, it'll automatically skip the parent's information. And because you're independent, your loan eligibility limits will be a little higher. Speaking of parents, I know that this is a lot of information. If you have any specific questions, if you're not sure who your parent is, please contact us. We're happy to help you. Basically, short answer is your legal, biological, or adopted parent or step parent. Other family members who are not your parent or legal guardian may not fill in their information to be counted on the FAFSA. So, long story short, if your parents are still married, you'll enter in both informations. If they live together, and even if they're not married, you're going to enter in both their information. If your parents are not married, they do not live together. If you live with one parent more than the other, you'll enter in their information. And then you'll also need to consider whether or not that your parents have remarried and whether or not you're going to include your step parents' information. I mentioned the IRS data retrieval tool. This is really great. It's easy, safe, secure, and secure because when your information is transferred from the IRS data website, it will come in and it will be masked. So you won't see the numbers. You'll just know, it'll just say that the information has been retrieved from the IRS. One thing that's great about it is it's accurate. You won't need to make any changes. You won't have to worry about making mistakes on your FAFSA and entering in the wrong number to the wrong place. It does require precision. So when you go to use the data retrieval tool, it'll take you to the IRS website. And when you're entering in your name and your address on the IRS website, it needs to match exactly what you put for the 2019 taxes. So oftentimes addresses will trip people up. They'll enter in an E for East instead of spelling out the East if they spelled it out on the other one. It is also optional, so you can either not do it, or depending on how you filed, you actually might not be eligible to use the data retrieval tool. If you're not eligible, the little button to use the tool just won't pop up. If you have any questions, let us know. All right, what happens after you fill out your FAFSA? A couple of things. You're going to receive a student aid report, and I'll go into what that is and what's all on that. You'll receive it within 3 to 5 business days. You'll want to check your email, and schools will also send you their financial aid offers once they get your FAFSA information. So here's all the information that's going to be on your student aid report. First is your EFC. Remember, that's a calculation made to help determine your financial need, and you don't have to pay this much money if you can't afford to. It'll let you know if you're eligible for any grants and what grants you are eligible for. It'll also let you know if you were selected for verification. This means that the government has randomly selected you and they just want a little bit more information. And so you'll need to provide that information to them, and it needs to be submitted and processed before you'll receive your financial aid offers from the schools. You'll also get a copy of your FAFSA info, the information you entered in. You want to make sure that you review it for accuracy, because if you've made a mistake, it could affect how much aid you're going to get. It'll let you know what colleges you entered and a little bit of information about each college. It'll also let you know your financial aid history. So maybe if this is your first year filling out the FAFSA, this section will be blank. But if you've filled it out before and received aid, it'll let you know what loans you've received in the past. Now, remember, when you're filling out the FAFSA, you're filling it out for 2 years prior. If you've had a significant change in your financial circumstances, or if you're in your family, you can request a review for special circumstances. We've had a lot of requests due to COVID changes, which means loss of job or a reduction in pay. The other ones that can be counted is if someone in the family has passed or you've encountered large emergency expenses. So there's a lot to do for financial aid. So one way that you can remember what to do and when to do it is using the holidays. So you'll want to complete your FAFSA around Halloween because sometimes it can feel scary to do. You'll want to apply for your scholarships between Christmas and Valentine's Day because you love getting gifts and money. During your spring break and Easter of your high school, your senior year in high school, you'll want to review your financial aid offers and make a plan by remembering to count your eggs in the spring. We recommend in the spring because usually by the spring you have been able to register for classes or know what the cost of attendance is. So at UAF, once you register for classes, then you'll know how much you'll owe and you can plan according to that. On July 4th, you want to declare your plans and know what your plans are for financial aid and how you're going to pay. Please don't wait until Labor Day because you'll have to do a lot of work and you'll probably be stressed. So make sure you have everything according to this timeline. Speaking of timelines, you want to know some important UAF dates. So we've already passed October 1st. The FAFSA has opened up as well as the UAF scholarship. That's that one application that you fill out. So if you are already applied and accepted to UAF, you can go ahead and start your scholarship applications. You have until February 15th. So that's why I said you want to work on scholarships around Christmas and Valentine's Day because the scholarships are due the day after Valentine's Day. April 5th is when registration begins for if you're a degree-seeking UAF student. So you can sign up for classes and then you'll know your bill as soon as April. If you're a UA scholars, you want to make sure you apply to UAF or any other UA school by May 1st. If you want to make sure that you've applied to UAF by June 15th, especially if you are going for the NANIT pledge. If you qualify for the APS on by June 30th, you want to fill out your FAFSA and have it be completed and confirmed. And then we always at UAF, we just distribute financial aid 10 days before the first day of class. So August 13th is when financial aid will be dispersed to your student account. And then August 23rd is the first day of classes. And then the tuition and fee payment deadline is always 2 weeks after the start of class. So that's September 3rd for fall 2021. Other aid options to consider, there's also other scholarships, not just the ones I talked about here, but you want to check with your employers, check with your parents' employers. There's local big businesses and organizations, both local and national, you can search for. Another thing that you want to think about is whether or not you're going to work while you're in school. UAF has a lot of different jobs that are on campus, and if you work on campus, then you can get your schedule to be flexible according to your class schedule. You can also work over the summer or work over breaks, and it's never too late to open a college savings account. Bottom line, I know I've said a lot of information and covered a lot, so these are things that you'll want to remember. 1, apply for scholarships. They're the best way to get financial aid. They're pretty easy to do depending on your timeline. And so apply for scholarships and you'll want to fill out the FAFSA. Even if you're not sure what your financial aid, if you don't think you're going to qualify, if you think you make too much money, you'll still want to fill out that FAFSA. You never know what you might qualify for. 3, find out your costs. Remember, financial aid isn't going to often cover your whole cost. So you want to make sure that you know what your financial aid is and how much school is going to cost. You want to pay attention to those important deadlines. You don't want to miss any application deadlines and miss out on money. And you also don't want to miss those payment deadlines. The fifth one, number 5 and 6 are the most important. You want to ask questions. There might be aid options that you're not aware of for your specific situation. So call us, ask us some questions. Stay in touch. Number 6, you want to make sure that everything is all set and ready to go before the first day of classes. Oftentimes students forget that they were selected for verification and they needed to get more information in, or there's an unforeseen something. So you want to make sure that you're all set. You want to check when your aid pays, make sure that it actually did pay out, and check and answer any emails that you are receiving from us or any other school. Speaking of asking questions, there's an open Q&A session that I'll be hosting every other Thursday from now until December. And that is during the lunch hour over Zoom. So there's my email. You can ask me for the Zoom link and the passcode. And you can log in and ask away. Another way to find out more information is to visit our website. A really great feature of our website is you can calculate an estimate of your financial aid, and you can even find out if you qualify for the NANIC pledge, as well as learn how to apply for aid. I know I covered a lot. There's specific steps, checklist for applying to aid at uaf.edu/finaid. And here is our contact information. We love to help you out. That's what we're here for. Ask us questions, make an appointment to meet with us. We can meet over the phone or via Zoom or Google Hangouts, or you can come in. Our office is open. You can visit our website, you can give us a call, or you can send us an email. We look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.